Yeah, a recap would pretty much just be a springboard from the side RP that you all have been doing on our Discord. Which, by the way, for all of you in the audience, if you haven't been reading the side RP, please do so. It's a lot of fun. You can get some cool, like side content for the characters. Some moments that they're sharing that can support what you might have seen on the channel, or it helps bring development further. But I do think that we can pretty well just move into our recap, as we did have where we had left off. The five of you had entered into a strange portal caused by an expanding Fomorian's eye, hovering above a burbling spring in the middle of a place and a time that was out of place and out of time for where it was. And as you did so, strange things happened to each of you. And my abbreviation of the side RP is you had started to open up that each of you had an experience. And in various ways, it had left you concerned. You were wondering, what could it mean? Could it be clues? Could it be something or another? But in your own ways, each of you were kind of quartered and examined, and, well, you're pieced back together when you appeared on the other side. And so now that we have passed through the Fomorian's eye, I will take us to our scene inside here. Was the music cutting out for you all? Sorry to ruin the immersion.
Nope.
Okay. If it's only on my end, so much the better then, if y'all are getting into it. So, there was a stony, almost like a corridor on the other side of the portal. And as each of you had walked through, you had discussed some of the things that you had seen or heard. And it is here. I will load you in. And if you want, I'm not going to force a recap, but if you want to talk about some of the things that have occurred or your thoughts or feelings before you continue down this stone corridor into whatever lies ahead. Remember that there is a slain Fomorian in this room with you, as well as several insectoid, humanoid-looking bodies. As was indicated by Jacob, that there was a bloody fight that happened in here. And I did note you all have been very careful not to touch or interact with the crystals, as it was shown doing so can almost infect you or change you, something along those lines. The spotlight is on you until we move along.
All right.
I'd like to search the insectoids, and maybe someone else. I mean, Celine has the most connection to them. Search the Fomorian too. So
Look, I just delivered the thing, all right? Like, I was holding the bag, and that was pretty much the end of it. I wanted to do it for study, don't get me wrong, but connection is kind of a broad term.
Okay, well, since you turned the entire population of your temple into Fomorian, I guess not.
Hey.
All right. I'll go investigate the Fomorian. It's fine.
I'll do it. Don't you worry, Mordecai. I got you. She kind of pats him on the head as she walks by. You're giggling way too much right now.
Your portrayal of Celine is so good. It's better than Lethality's.
You're lying. I know that, but I appreciate it.
It's more lethality than lethality.
We love you, Lethality.
So I just go up to the fomorian eye and, or the fomorian, and I start taking a look at the body. I'm trying to figure out causes of death, anything unusual, that kind of thing. For scientific research, of course.
Well, as you go and flip over...
You're just strange.
Celine notices, and all of you do. None of you need to be professional doctors or even recreational ones in order to see that the Fomorian's eye has been ruptured, and it effectively is just a ruinous grapefruit set in the giant skull. Very specifically, there's a lot of trauma and injury to its weird eye, though the body does have some slashes and pierces all across it.
Well, that's strange. I suppose that they end up considering it a way to harm them, so it makes sense.
Eyes are the squishiest part of body, easiest to hurt.
That would make sense.
I think it's more than that. I think
You think it's
good powers, and I think they probably wanted to hurt them. It's probably so bad for them that they can't even take it with them. They probably just have to destroy it here and leave it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. All of you hear a voice coming from Celine.
Jack, I told you not now.
And, well, Casimir, this would be new to you. A little kind of blue glowing fox, sort of like drips down from her face, like under her mask, and forms, like plops down at her feet and forms into a pool.
That is new.
I know, I'm quite old, actually.
Yeah, technically not new.
He's new to
New
me.
to you, yeah. Possibly that.
Jack, Casimir, pain in the ass.
Hi,
Or
Casimir.
pain of the pheasants.
Oh, well, look at you. Ah, kind of trots around you, sniffing at you. Yeah,
That's the way little creature.
all right, hold on. I'm not getting pawsy with you. It's just, it's good to, it's good to know there's other Fae around.
So, Casimir, sorry, my voice isn't working as well as... Casimir, if Jack offers you a deal, don't take it. Also, Jack, I'd like to make a deal.
what? Right.
Yeah.
What do you have to
What?
offer?
What?
Little creature, for your own safety, don't make deal with little one.
I'm not sure which of us is which in that sentence, but it's probably true either way. So, Mr. Jack,
Wait.
a while ago, you wanted to make a deal with me. Do you remember the terms of that? Been thinking about it, and I wondered if it would suppress my little problem that I have. You see, a while ago somebody bit me, and you probably know what I mean by that. And now I've got this problem where happen yet, but it might happen someday. And if we did the thing that you talked about, would it make it impossible for that?
We're still
Maybe.
working on something for that, right?
Don't you do it, Jack. Don't you do it.
Well, now, Celine, I don't know if I necessarily have the power to do that, but I am here on behalf of Orlans, and Orlans is the one that pretty much had me follow you around, Celine. Well, as much as I was able to. That fomorian eye, though.
I'm missing it more by the
Orlons
minute,
isn't going to
I
be
can assure
happy
you.
about this. Wait a minute. And Jack takes his face out of his paw.
He literally take his face off with his paw.
No, just like he was thinking and like, oh.
So, I mean, he might.
We might be able to reach Orlons here. It smells like it. Smells like fomorians as well. I don't like this place. This is scary.
Is this familiar at all?
Oh, yes, but not in the way that you might consider something to be familiar.
Like a familiar energy or
familiar
familiar sense?
Yeah, it's a familiar. I guess it'd be like, you know how some days the air just feels really wet, but maybe you're used to it being really dry?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, except not.
Huh.
This is definitely...
Like the weather between Islandia and Mesomasca is very different.
Yeah, but that's explained because of the geography. This is something on a deeper level, like a vibration. It's something along those lines. The fact that I'm here and the fact there's even fomorians here. Oh my goodness.
Do you worry for your people then?
Well, I worry for myself because I am my people. So I guess I worry about my people, but I worry about myself.
That I can understand. And yet, I am still left to wonder. You say this, what was his name again?
Orlons.
Orlons. You say this Orlons has great power and is probably nearby. Is this the individual that you were all discussing earlier?
Mentioned him.
Definitely a powerful fae.
Mentioned him when we came into the little mushrooms first. And you thought I was a dragon, but it was actually a dragon that was sitting on me. I mentioned that maybe it was Orlans in the area.
All right then.
That's what it was.
So, if this is stamped out, does this actually aid us in dealing with the tower? Jacob, I'm sure the tower will end up here being absolutely fine once we have this endeavor sorted, okay? The sooner we can get to Alon's, the sooner I can get rid of... She points to Jack. That!
Well, Orlons is the one who makes pacts, so I suppose he might be able to help you. He could probably just kill you also. I don't know if one or the other will help you more.
At this point, I'm
Certainly
willing
don't
to
want
take
be
my chances.
killed. We're not gonna die. Let's not die. Sounds like a bad time.
I, for one, wouldn't mind going back through that portal.
Okay. So that's a pretty good sign that we shouldn't go back through the portal.
Mm.
I mean, you can always just leave. I wouldn't mind if you left this place, because I frankly don't want to... I don't want to end up like them, and Jack kind of trots over to one of the bludgeoned, squished insectoids.
Well, that sounds like all the incentive I need.
The fact of the matter is, Jack, is your people are encroaching upon our planes, so we kind of have to deal with that at some point.
I mean...
Look, I don't want to end up exterminating the fairy tale any more than the next child, but the fact of the matter is that we currently need to end up here getting this Alton here sorted. Now, sitting here, are we going to end up learning anything? Jacob is currently going through the corpses and seeing if there's any further bits of information, useful tidbits or anything like that he can end up discerning that might end up helping on their way forward, because he has no idea what the hell they're dealing with.
Okay. Sure, Jacob. Go ahead and make an investigation, and you can do this with advantage. Because there's no real time pressure here. 19. Oh, and by the way, I did want to start out because of all of the ordeals that you had passing through the gate. All of you do have an inspiration that you can use.
Hey!
So make sure you note that on your sheets.
Hey.
On the insectoids, you're certainly finding that these were humans and tieflings that have been converted. Their eyes have become, sort of fragmented and elongated. They've grown extra limbs that have also become longer and sharper. They all have a scintillating, like a carapace. And they've been mutated in different ways from who they were. Like, there's a tiefling base, but it seems like the horns kind of drop down to almost become mandibles. And it's very, even through the pulp, because the fomorians certainly have left their mark when they entered this place. You can tell that these were people at some time that have been changed, and they all do have a. There's some kind of like crystalline structure inside of them that you can see through their ruined flesh as well. As for the fomorian is wearing some basic trappings of what it used to be, and while larger in size than in its previous life, this one you are getting the feeling that this was also someone very disciplined, very regimental, with the way that it was holding its great spear when it collapsed, and just you're noticing some things about it that would show that this person was in a line of work that was like a police or soldier, guard, someone with important martial responsibility to some degree.
Rest in peace, brother. Well, at the very least, we end up knowing that we can't stay here much longer. Outside of...
Yep. So if you want to go back through that portal anytime, I'll be right here with you, Celine. And he kind of slinks back up, and Celine, your left arm goes from being skeletal to having the illusion of flesh again, as Jack remanifests and is able to cloak a portion of you.
You know, it still bothers me on how that thing keeps crawling up inside me every time.
We can get rid of it as soon as possible. Let's do that.
I was tempted to hack the arm off more than once.
The hand grows a mouth. Hey, I'm still here, you know.
I know.
Shall we press on then? Avoid touching all the crystals and all that.
So, does the tunnel go both ways or just one way?
One way from the portal. It's as you're seeing, it's kind of hanging in a misty wall. So you could go back out of the portal, but that would take you back out to this primeval swamp. Or you can continue forward, which would be, from how we're looking behind, down this rocky, not like a mine, it doesn't look worked, but down this cave.
Oh,
Just as a precaution, Mordecai is going to pull out his violin and start playing his counter charm repeatedly.
Okay.
it's nice. Okay. So out of character, I noticed that I'm missing 26 hit points. Did I take damage at some point, or did I just not rest properly?
I think we should all be at full hit points because that's how we ended
Yeah.
before the nightmares.
Yeah, and
I'll
the
fix that.
nightmares didn't carry over damage or lost spells.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, that's probably it. I must have taken that damage during a nightmare. Okay.
it was either that or Celine ended up taking damage from the birthing, which would explain why she was let like 4 hit points. Wasn't gonna say anything, but
Yeah, you all should have been back up after a long rest, going into this eternal night. Before you continue, I'm going to hit reconnect on Roll20 as the music seems to be pausing for me. I'm even watching it pause, and that might just be because Roll20 is kind of derping with the ambient music here. So allow me to reconnect real quick. Hopefully this will keep things moving along. I'll watch the bar. I might have to do a hard refresh at some point, but yeah, make sure your sheets have been reset after the long rest when you set your spells and everything, and you marched up to the hill. You saw the mushroom forest. You descended down, investigated Fomorian Prince. You went into the eye portal, etc.
I think I'm good and set. So.
it'll work.
Okay.
Did I have Jasper summoned at that point, or no? I don't remember.
Yeah, Jesper came in with us.
Okay, so he's here. Good to
Should
know.
be. I hope the tunnel is big enough for him.
Let's drag.
He's a large
Jasper.
creature.
He is a large creature.
I mean, if you think about it, I'm a small one, so we could just average out.
For some reason, I can't seem to drag Jasper onto the map. But we're not going to stick at this area for too long.
He's being stubborn.
We'll consider Jasper being here with you all. All right. So the option to retreat is there, but you're not going to take it. You're going to press forward.
That's what we're doing. That's what we came here for.
Okay.
Tally-ho!
And all that. Yep.
I'm gonna refresh my page actually real quick before we do that then, because I'm still getting some audio issues on my end. So I'm sorry for that real quick. One moment while I hit refresh. I'm still here, everyone. Hopefully this will fix things. And if not, well, we will press on with stuttering music because I would rather play than worry over ambience. All right, apparently we have a new marching order. All right, as you are continuing along, you're finding the conditions since the portal and moving forward have been dim light. The crystals do cast off various shifting colors and a soft glow. So Jacob, for your mere human eyes, this is dim light. Though for those of you with dark vision, this would count as bright light for purposes of attacks or perception checks. If you wish to produce bright light in magical or mundane ways, so that Jacob can see as well without disadvantage, then you may let me know what you're doing.
Interspersed in the counter charm is going to be dancing lights. It's concentration for only a minute though, so it's gonna have to be like every minute. Just refresh it.
Okay. So you're playing a fortifying song. It is reverberating throughout the cave. Stealth is certainly not going to be really possible at this point in time. Now, as you do exit the tunnel, there is a watery dip ahead of you, and the water is reflecting the soft glow of the crystals. which is not allowing for very good sight about what might lie beneath it. Though it does delve down into water, and you have a choice. You can choose to go down a tunnel off to your right, where it seems that the Fomorians have traveled. As you are seeing some remains of Fae that are floating in the water, and the way down that tunnel has more remains and blood smears of Fae and Fomorian alike. Seems like there was a battle here, and the Fomorians have gone down one tunnel, or you could go down the other tunnel, where it seems like the Fomorians have not yet gone. This is your broad room description. You can interact with it further from here as you wish.
Oh, are we all like wading through this water?
You are not in the water yet. You're stopping on the stone before entering any water. But this is what you can see ahead of you. Is it seems like there's now water being present, which is consistent with the other Fey layer that you've been in, and there are tunnels that branch left and right.
Well, given the fact we're here for Fomorians, I would assume that everybody would be agreed that we're going down the path with the Fomorians.
Agree.
Sounds
Agreed.
like fun.
Yeah.
I need a new eyeball.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad we have all that motivation set up. Jacob is going to take a moment, as well as Celine, both to... Jacob's currently trying to end up investigating anything particularly new. Celine is looking for any bits of new Fey experience or anything like that. Mostly trying to end up discerning any new information they might have. They're both scholars in their own mind.
Yeah. We can combo and say that that you can make one investigation with advantage because you're kind of helping each other out, even though you're kind of two sides of the same coin. Ooh, 25. All right. Looking around at the evidence here, piecing things together, what could have happened. If Celine wants an eyeball, she's gonna probably have a tough time getting one from even a dead Fomorian if the first one is any indication. Though it seems like there was a large fight that took place here. Celine can also look around and see where there's a lot of... there's still many crystals, but there's a lot of larger ones that are broken. And she can inform... Well, it would be redundant to most of the rest of the party, but to you, Jacob, as you're tag teaming this, that the Fae would place victims in the crystals to metamorphose into the insectoid. So it would seem that when the Fomorians came through here, there were protectors or some other, there were Fae ready to go and throw down. And seeing these crystals broken would indicate that there was a fight, and to then hand the ball to Jacob in a more tactical sense. With that said, if the Fomorians, unless the two tunnels end up reconnecting, if you follow the Fomorians, then most likely you're not going to have to worry about shock troops or physical Fae encounters, because the Fae would be almost coming out of the stonework in order to take care of these giants that are loping along through their tunnels. And they're already aware of the Fomorians inside their lair, which would then also give you reason to think that some kind of an alarm or a communication has gone through, because Jacob, you have learned that they do communicate through water as well. So the Fae know that at least the Fomorians are here, and so the Fomorians are either plowing a way forward for you or causing a distraction. Through, well, honestly, that could apply. Well, the plowing could be through one tunnel. Distraction might apply to either, but it would seem that where the Fomorians go, there have already been encounters. So it would be up to you to decide if you want to explore an unexplored area, or rather like an untriggered area with, possible troops or traps or anything else the Fae may hold. Because Celine can fill Jacob in on the tricks that were played on the group the last time they were in a cave system.
Well, he's an idiot anyway.
Or you can
Couldn't
just
do it anyway.
walk behind the giants and see what happens.
I propose that it's safer to end up being behind the giants.
Agreed.
Mostly because by the time that we encounter them, they are either already heavily wounded, so we have a better chance at said encounter, or, more than likely, we can end up finding their corpses and end up getting whatever it is that we are down here for in the first place. And in the worst case scenario, maybe the... what was his name?
Orlons?
Orlons, there we go. Orlons will probably be down there handling the situation personally if he's as powerful as you say.
I'd like to not run into Orlons. That's just
Like a bad time.
not what we want to find down here.
Maybe.
Well,
but
in my
it'll be your
opinion, it
best
would be fun to encounter a giant, you said metal dragon? Giant metal dragon.
It's like he's made out of pots and pans and things, bits and bobs.
Oh, it's Fae. Yeah.
That sounds underwhelmingly intimidating. Wait until you see it.
So, yeah, I mean, the thing we came really down here for was answers. So, I
Yeah.
think we'll only find those if we find the Fomorians, or what's left of them.
Then we'll follow the Fomorians.
Oh, also, Maddie,
Okay.
I just want to remind you that I have 10 feet of seeing invisibility currently.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me of that special sense. Is it just invisibility, or is it something else?
Oh, it's just invisibility.
Okay.
It's not true sight. Just
Okay.
invisibility.
Okay. Duly noted. Then, who are you having a marching order into the water? I mean, y'all could just swim in a line, side by sides. Do you want to send a test into the water first? You're not sure because of the reflection and the way that the water is moving and rippling.
Do we have to cross the water to get to either tunnel?
Yes.
So, I used to be able to change Peggy Sue, but I don't think I have enough incense anymore. I don't remember using up all my incense, but I don't have it on my character sheet. So I don't think I have enough incense anymore. So, I used to turn Peggy Sue into a frog when we were here before, but I can't do that anymore.
As some of the...
I can
How
send
deep is
Jasper
water?
ahead to fly and see if he can see anything.
I mean,
How deep is the water?
You don't know.
I don't think we can't see down.
Yeah.
well, I don't want to go first because I'm short and I
I'll
would have a
go.
harder time reaching the bottom, or depending on your perspective, reaching the top. That's really how I prefer to think of it.
I'll send Jasper to go ahead of us. Celine, you have that water walking ability, right?
I suppose, but
Why don't we
Gonna-
just test and see if it's wadeable? If it's not, then yeah, but you guys use magic for too much things.
I would assume if we can't see down, it's deep.
It's also dark.
It's it seems to be the light is really playing off the surface, and so it is, well, at least you're mostly sure it's water, but all across the top is just the colors of the crystals that are reflecting off the top.
I want to throw a rock into it.
Sure.
Jasper's going ahead of us towards the tunnel we're going to go to, but I want to throw a rock and see if I can see how deep it goes before I lose sight of it.
Pardon. Given the nature of the reflection of the surface, just if you throw the rock, you'd only be gauging, is it just a film that the rock can sit above? You won't really be able to gauge depth with just throwing a rock.
I have plan. I
Does
have
anybody-
fishing. I have fishing pole.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say,
great,
does
a
anybody have
practical
anything,
experience.
Yes, that's
have anything long
tie-
that we could just poke the bottom of the... Yeah.
Yes, poke, and if it doesn't work, we can tie rock to end, throw it in, see how deep it goes.
That's fair enough.
Sure. Okay.
So first, just poke a fishing pole to see if I can touch bottom. Fishing pole would probably be like 3 feet.
Yeah. You're able to hold the fishing pole out in front of you, and it does continue down. It's not a super steep incline down, but it does get deeper the further away that you go. And there must be fish in here actually, because you put your pole in the water, and the something brushes past your fishing pole, though you can't see it below the surface of the water.
There is something in water, probably little fish.
If I throw my dancing lights in there, would I be able to see?
Possibly.
I want to throw one of my dancing light modes in there.
Okay. You submerge one of your dancing lights, and it seems to be neutral with the ambient crystal glow. So it's not necessarily illuminating anything more powerfully that could reveal information to you. Perhaps if you combined a couple of them, that would give you a more powerful light source beneath the water to shine up.
All right, I'll do that. Combine them into the massive moat and then send that down.
Okay. So you send your dancing light bloop, down in, and you're staring. Now, I will call for a hard perception check here as you're concentrating on this, and because of the shimmer and all this other stuff, just a passive won't necessarily do here. Whatever, 30. It's a green number.
Natural 20.
Yeah, my goodness.
Most perceptive bard ever.
Yeah. All right. So you submerge your well, it's you have the option to make it look humanoid if you want. Do you have a form for your dancing lights in that regard? Have you kind of personified
No,
it
it's
at all?
just a big ball,
Sure. Okay.
not a person.
And as you're looking, your eyes are scanning. You see that the water is maybe 20 feet deep. After a certain point where the ramp just, kind of bottoms out to the bottom of the cave area here. And you also see that there's a lot of little fish that are just kind of swimming in the waters. Like, just kind of circling around and, breathing water, fish stuff.
But they're probably fey fish, and I don't necessarily trust that. And
You want
so
me to catch one?
I think we just need to be careful that they don't bite us.
Well, no, it bites fishing rod pole. Hook.
No, if
Hook
we're
on
going
it.
across the water, don't get touched by the fish.
No, I'm saying, do you want me to catch one first so we can examine? Because that's probably normal fish.
If you want to spend time doing that, how long does it take you to fish?
It depends on how hungry fish are.
That's actually what I was wondering about. They probably aren't normal fish because I don't see anything in here for fish to eat. And
They probably wait for the first thing to go across the water.
they eat adventurers, okay?
That's entirely possible. That's my adventuring opinion as someone who has traveled the island repeatedly. But not Faye.
I'll tell you what, Mordecai, you did a very good job perceiving, and you're clever with your spell. As you move as you dance your dancing lights around, you do see the fish. You do see that there is a large form that is at the bottom of the cave, and still under the water.
All right. Nope. That's a thing we want to avoid.
It is a humanoid form.
Is it fomorian sized or is it?
It is fomorian sized, yes.
I don't like it. I don't like any of it.
I don't like that very much.
Jacob did say a battle took place here.
When I look to the tunnel that we are intending to go to, does the water continue into the tunnel or is there land there?
Yes, the water does continue down both tunnels.
All right.
I think maybe water walk would be the safest.
That seems like the best bet, yeah, because otherwise we're teleporting and that's using up a lot of my energy.
Water walk only takes time, and we've spent so much time already.
There's nothing chasing y'all, and I mean, there's things that you are chasing after. So, I mean, 10 minutes is 10 minutes.
We slept, so we weren't actually acting in a hurry.
Yep.
So, yeah.
It's up to you. Yeah, if you want to cast it as a ritual.
Celine?
Definitely as a ritual. I'm not wasting a spell slot on that.
I'm going to fish while they cast magic.
Sure. Casimir, would you kindly roll a survival at advantage?
It's what I'm good at.
All right, nice, 25. So Celine is overcasting Water Walk as a ritual, and you feel a tug. You feel a tug on your hook, and Casimir, you start reeling it in, and it's a decent fish. Maybe about 10 inches long. Though it's kind of weird. You caught it by the tail.
That doesn't normally happen.
And as you look at it, the tail seems to split down the middle, as what looks like the tail is the mouth, and at the other end is what would be the mouth is it's not mouth. And
where are the gills?
Fey fish.
it doesn't have gills.
Good to know.
Oh, it's definitely a fey fish. Do you have to kill it? You could throw it back.
Yeah, but
We're not gonna eat it.
well,
At
you're
least
not.
I think we really shouldn't eat it.
No.
Eating fey things. That doesn't go well.
Make a nature check as well, Casimir.
Okay.
Sounds like a bad time.
There's a part of me on the fact that I'm playing Celine that will offer Celine to eat it, but I'm not that cruel.
No.
Well, bear in mind, Celine is effectively converted to Fey. So, can she get more
any
Fey?
more of that to happen. Let's not try that.
It's I was gonna use an analogy of
cats, scaredy cats. That's what you guys call them. Yeah.
I was gonna use the analogy of, well, I mean, once you're pregnant, you're not gonna get any less pregnant by continuing that act, but that's probably in poor taste given Celine's nightmare. So, I mean, just because she's Fey and she might not be able to get more Fey. So, Casimir, in your opinion, this is certainly, despite its oddness, does seem to be a predatory fish, as it has very sharp teeth, and you're also seeing a little scrap of cloth on one of its serrated teeth.
Hmm.
And fish don't wear clothes.
Yep. I want to make sure that this fish is dead so I can.
Okay, you just want to thwack it against a rock or something?
Well, I was looking for gills so I could just stab it in gills, but
It is
I can cut it out.
it is certainly flopping. It's not like, it doesn't have gills to go, but it certainly seemed to be very uncomfortable outside the water.
Yes, I'm trying to end it early and not let it suffer too much.
Okay, just
Yep.
okay. Smack it against a rock. You
Nah,
do
'cause
so.
that doesn't really work. You got to cut it open.
Stops moving. Well, in either case, it's gonna stop moving. So
Cut it open so it's no longer doing the biting thing.
okay.
Then carefully take out the cloth.
Okay, you have a little scrap of cloth that reminds you of the coloration of the robes the people in the Temple of Ouijas wore. And inside the fish that you cut open, it seems to have a like a little crystalline center to it that is partially like grown onto the bones.
Oh,
Probably
that's
shouldn't touch
interesting.
that.
No, we definitely shouldn't touch that, but we should definitely keep it. Can I look at it? I want to see. Does it look like the fake crystals that live in the caves, or does it look like the Norali crystals?
These are a lot more like Norali crystals. They don't glow. They do reflect in different colors, like Norali's bones, but they're not providing kind of an alluring light, or have the same structure as those conversion crystals or whatever you'd like to call them.
Interesting. Hey. Well, we should hang on to this.
You want me to catch more?
Don't know.
I mean,
don't
mine
know.
is still good, so I can catch more. Actually, I have a net. I could probably catch a bunch at once.
Celine, what do you think? If we were to catch enough of these fish, and they worked out, then we could give Celine, or I mean, give Noralai a proper burial. But we don't know if they work the same way. Killing the fish.
Might I make a knowledge religion check to try and see if does that even sound plausible, or is this wishful thinking?
Sure, go ahead. Religion, straight up. Celine would absolutely think that with magic all things are possible. This is just not necessarily something she's heard about out of a book. Could be an opportunity to experiment. She does love her experiments.
That's true. Why don't I just try and experiment with it? I could try to use the crystal as a focus, and I could just cast something simple like a firebolt or something.
Well,
Be careful of touching it. Yeah.
Evelyn's problems are mostly over, so I doubt we're going to give her any new ones.
Yeah. So let me just, I mean, it's the same thing that I did last night. Was it just last night? It seems like so long ago.
Yeah.
Casting, using Noralai's skull, except I'm using the fish.
Okay, so you want to try to attune to it, like you did with the skull?
Oh, right, that's gonna take an hour. Can we wait an hour? Can we afford to do that?
I can catch more fish. What you do?
Casting water walking.
Yeah. I mean, water walk takes 10 minutes, so really it only takes 50 minutes. Really, it's only 49.
And water walk only lasts an hour, so she'll want to do that towards the end anyway, if we're gonna take a rest.
I'm going to find a nice place to sit and put up feet and fish.
Are we waiting? That's what we're doing? Alright.
I mean, Casimir wants to catch more fish, and I think it would be worth it if we could give Noralai a proper burial and we didn't have to make her into spell focuses.
That's fair.
Okay. So the plan is to wait an hour to see if Bright can attune to the fish bones while Casimir fishes, and Now the water walk ritual will go off during this time, so you all will have 50-ish minutes of water walking.
We could time it so that the water walk comes on at the end.
Mhm.
We could have the.
If you'd like, yeah.
That
Why
would be
not?
most useful, yeah. So that's what we're doing.
Okay. All right, Casimir's kicking up and fishing, and you wanted Jasper to go across the water and...
Just kind of scope things out. Not touch anything, but just scope things out. See if he can see anything.
Okay.
Maybe even go through the tunnel to see what he sees.
All right, sending Jasper across. The tunnel's height isn't he can still kind of fly. It's like a fly and a crawl at times because there's some stalactites, and especially if you don't want him to come into contact with crystals, it's going to be tight unless you want him to be in the water. He'll have less to dodge around in the water. However, it's your call here about how you'd like him to proceed.
He would probably test and see how deep the water is.
Okay, you want to send him down?
Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Well, you don't want him to get eaten.
Nope. He definitely knows to be aware of what's going on. He's keeping his eyes out. He's an intelligent creature. For a creature.
All right. So you send Jasper Blue down, and what's Jasper's armor class?
Armor class?
Yeah.
My.
Holy balls. He's a 12 armor class.
Never
I
enough.
didn't see that many dice.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that is going to be...
Oh no. Well, you can summon him again, right?
no. Yeah. I didn't want to do that. I did that yesterday.
So it's going to be... Okay. As Jasper dives down, the water begins to not to ripple a lot more violently, and Jasper is going to take 44 points of piercing damage as a school of fish just surround him and all start to tear into him.
As soon as that happens, he's getting out of the water. And is going to continue, fly back. He is not dead. He has 15 hit points left.
Okay.
So, good news and bad news.
Mm-hmm. He got attacked by a fish.
That's the bad news. But the good news is we were right about not wanting to go in the water.
Exactly. Caution is always the best option.
Well, hopefully they're still hungry. I'm trying to catch them.
Casimir, your line gets absolutely wrecked as it seems like these fish have gone into a frenzy, and they've just torn through your line. So you have a fishing pole, but that's about it.
Does anyone have spare line?
Nope.
Don't think I have that. That's
You're
not a
on
thing
your
I
own for
would
that
have.
one.
I do have an idea. It's something I learned from Noralai.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and stick one of my hands in the water just for a moment. I can't do it yet. I have to wait for the attunement to finish.
Okay.
all right.
So, give me the rest of the hour, however far in we are, and then I'll try something. If anyone has any other ideas first, you can do that.
I can wait for them to settle down and then try that.
Okay.
Would Jasper be able to spend hit dice if we took a rest? If he took a rest after this,
Sure.
or is it too late into that? Okay.
It'll just tack on a little bit more time than the hour, since this is kind of going on while the attunement's happening.
So Lean's going to take the time to time the casting of Water Walk, if that's still a thing at this point,
Yes.
to when everybody, or when the attunement happens, rather than cast now and then we only got 10 minutes of water walking. That being said,
Let me just throw that out there. Should be able to get these fish.
Oh, I don't know. I actually don't know if he can spend hit dice. Never mind.
Why couldn't he spend hit dice?
I don't know what hit dice I would roll for him.
I mean,
The
it's
monster,
the monster
entry has them.
It should say
Yeah.
in the step.
Yeah. And let me look up my monster entry. Hang on.
didn't know we were going to play that hour out in real time.
Well, y'all are experimenting. It's fine.
You guys can continue doing whatever you're doing. This is what I'm doing.
I'm just waiting for my hour to be up so I can, if Casimir
I'm
catches some
trying
fish,
to
great.
catch fish.
If he doesn't, I have something to try, but I don't even know for sure it'll work. So,
Casimir, are
Can
you
you
casting a net into the water during this time then? Since your fishing pole
As,
is...
as soon as the fish settle down some.
Sure. Okay. You cast your net out, and you're waiting for it to sink down before you draw it back in, so you can cinch up a bunch of fish. And you certainly are feeling that the net has just naturally fallen over some of them. And
I really only need like 4 more.
you begin you cinch it up, and you're pulling them back in, and they're certainly wiggling. They're not huge game fish or anything. Like these are about the size of a bass, perhaps. And they're wiggling, and as they are, and it's getting closer, there's a mass of fish that are just jumping, and they're even like jumping out of the water, and they're like coming down on the fish that are flopping around in your net. And your net, and presumably the fish that were in distress inside of it, are just shredded. It's kind of weird seeing fish like leap backwards with their tails that then split down and...
So do I get nothing out of that?
You have a shredded net, and perhaps a couple chunks of... a couple
My net now has
chunks of
muscles
fish.
than it started with.
You have it. And yeah, that's actually a bad thing. We'll say that there's you have a fish tooth, a serrated fish tooth, buried in one of the rope pieces that still exists.
So not even like missing pieces of fish. They're trying to get the little crystals.
You have a fish tooth?
Alright. I have rope, and I have arrows. Tie rope to arrow, shoot the fish, pull quickly.
Okay. How would you like to bait it up to you?
Bait it up?
doesn't need bait. He's
I'm
shooting the fish.
I'm shooting fish with arrow.
No, it's
like-
easier if you put the fish in a barrel first.
Well, to be able to see the fish,
but they don't
you're
have
gonna... how are you hoping to get one in your sights? Given the reflection of the light and such in here. If you want to make a precise shot, not just a blind shooting arrows into the water. Which you can do. I mean, eventually you might hit one.
Mordecai could do dancing like light trick again.
If you wanted to.
Mordecai's not doing anything else. Jasper's taking a rest. So.
Sure. Casimir, roll a ranged attack at disadvantage.
Would they be able to use Hunter's Mark, perhaps?
If the target is something you see, then sure.
Well, if he puts the lights, I could see the shadows of it.
Yep, that's fine.
Hunter's Mark doesn't give you advantage either, though. No, it only adds damage. And you can follow the creature. That's really all you can do.
Given their behavior, Casimir, if you're willing to risk dipping your toe and splashing a little bit in the water, you could probably just get a fish to come up to you. Or Mordecai could use the tip of his tail.
I'm not putting my
Go
toe
fishing
on
with that.
Hell no. Hell no.
Mordecai's horns probably don't have nerve endings, so if he just sticks his face close to the water and he dips his horns in, that might be enough.
Why do you do this?
I'll just shoot without spell then.
Okay. You shimmering. You're accounting for when the arrow hits the surface and everything, and you end up pinning one of these things. And as you're reeling it in, a swarm of fish tear it up and destroy the fish and the arrow and the part of the rope that was wrapped around it.
Can, like, the fish not just come up here? Oh my gosh.
If you caught a fish every time you went fishing, it'd be called catching, not fishing.
It's true.
Does anyone have mending?
I do.
Fix my net.
Seems rather frustrated, and he takes note that you're rather frustrated at him.
Also, probably fishing pole. Can I work? Fix pole.
You guys used magic too much. You really shouldn't rely on it. Fix my net.
Mordecai, you can fix Casimir's net,
Jacob,
but it's going to be a lot
do you
smaller.
want to be bait? Because that would be great.
Oh.
Very well then.
No, you are not
Jacob
going in there.
Start stepping in full defensive.
No,
Okay.
Mordecai pulls him back. He doesn't let him do that.
Are you implying that you're going to try and stop me?
I am going to stop you.
Remember how well that worked out last time for you here, Deputy Silverleaf?
I'm still gonna try.
Uh,
You're not going in the water. That
all right,
shit is...
Jacob, you start marching into the water. Mordecai is rushing up behind you to, put a hand on your shoulder. And as your boot steps in, one of these little fish, backward, like tail first, leaps up and is now. You take 1 point of piercing damage as it's on your nose, flapping around, and it's trying to savage your nose and rip it off.
I am going to quickly attack.
At least we got a fish now.
It's flopping in your hand.
Get out quick. Throw out the bright.
You now have.
Right.
All right,
Now
Bright.
2 fish.
You have a battered fish. Not even beer battered.
Okay, 3 more.
I already had a fish. I didn't need. Okay, fine.
Well,
Is
no,
my
you're
attunement done
examining.
yet?
That happens anymore,
Oh.
and I'm gonna start looking like Celine.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry on that crit. That's 2 points of piercing damage that you took because I crit your nose.
Your nose.
Is net and pole fixed?
Mending. Let's see how much Yeah, it really only takes me a minute to fix
Your
it for you.
your pole is fine. Mending's not going to give you your hook back that's been taken. Your net presumably could have the ends brought together and mended magically, but your net's going to be a lot smaller than it was because of the holes torn in it, and as the ends need to be fixed.
As long as I can catch just 2 more fish. Wait, 3. 3 more fish.
Presumably, with the amount of net that you have, you might be able to catch 3 fish in it.
It is now fixed.
It's
Yeah,
just
I
been,
have been-
it's just been turned into a butterfly net instead of a fishing net.
Going to try this again.
Sure. Well, While Casimir's getting ready to cast the net out, Jacob, are you doing anything in particular?
Well, at this point, I have to end up considering that I am not exactly equipped for this particular endeavor, shall I say. That being said, as an experiment I'd like to run. Casimir, would you care to end up taking a page out of Celine's book?
And what would that be?
Oh, I'm wondering if these things have a one-track mind.
Hmm.
You want to experiment or cast your net?
No, I'm casting that. I'm just sketching. That's what I do.
All right. Having learned that they're quick and vicious little buggers, or fishers, I guess in this case, go ahead and make a straight up survival to see if you can cinch the net and bring it in time before they can rip it in. And let's do a. Okay. And they're coming after it. Like you see that there's there's some as you're bringing it in, it gets up to the surface and it's bobbing along, and there's a couple little fins from their open mouths as they're gliding forward, and in your net where they're flopping, you have 3 fish. And they're the ones inside are trying to bite into the strings, and they're kind of now there's not 11 billion of them that are savaging the entire net, but your net's going to need another mending after this because the 3 fish are just very, with their serrated teeth, are tearing through the cord.
All right. As soon as fish are out of water, killing them.
Sure. You
Then
slap
just
them on the ground.
Tossing the net to Mordecai. You can keep it.
All right, Mordecai. You have a small wet net with holes that aren't supposed to be there.
I'm going to quickly cast mending on it.
Okay, you have an even lesser net now. You have like a little goldfish scoop net, and
Did you want this back?
You can keep it for now. I'll let you know if I need it.
don't spend it all in one place, kid.
Alright, hopefully those work because I'm tired of these fish.
You put the 3 fish down handedly.
All right.
Hey,
Are we just waiting for the hour and some to be up now?
Supposedly, Bright is now surrounded by dead fish.
oh good. I mean, yeah.
It's a message.
As soon as- Maybe Casimir could cut up these fish and see if they have crystals in them too.
I will do that.
That's something I'm very good at.
Okay, you're finding similar crystalline bones.
I will debone all these fish
Okay.
and
And
keep the flesh for later.
okay, you're keeping the flesh.
Mhm.
Very good. All right, so now you have 4 skeletonized fish, Bright, and 1 that has just been filleted.
Okay. Well, I don't want the other fish. These fish are for you. I only want one. The one I'm attuning to.
I can debone that one when you're done.
Okay. I hope deboning doesn't mess up the attunement. I don't want to carry a rotten fish around.
Nope. Sounds like a bad time.
It's a perfect casting implement.
Maybe for necromancy.
Are any of the rest of you then, while this hour's passing, interacting with the water or doing anything else?
No, staying away from the water.
Okay. And Mordecai, the water here isn't necessarily running like a river per se, or at least it will when it gets to the caves, but that's something else that you might want to consider too.
Hmm.
There's a lot of fresh water in here that's just aching to be crossed.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have to run. Those fish are probably gonna have a hard time saying no to things running across the surface of the water.
So that's why is my hour up yet?
Yes, because no one else was interacting with the water.
Okay.
And when you finish, you're studying the fish and the bones, and like some of the bones bear this kind of crystalline the structure.
Quick question for reference: where are the eyes on this thing?
The eyes are
Normal spot or in your tail?
by the tail.
By the tail, perfect. Totally not drawing picture.
Totally not.
Totally not.
We'll give him a little fin down here too, just to be cool. All right. So, after this time, you feel that you've studied and just the bones are certainly not natural bones, but there's just I don't know, Bright. You're not getting a vibe from these things. I mean, you've certainly been studying a dead fish for an hour, but you're not feeling a resonance or something that's set.
But what you're saying is they don't feel like Norlai bones,
Correct.
magically speaking?
Correct.
That's disappointing. Let me just try a minor illusion. I'll just create a little bird, and I'll use the fish bones as the focus and see what happens.
Okay. One moment.
Nothing good ever came from percentile dice.
Nah.
We don't like percentile dice.
All right. So, as you cast this spell, by the fish here, it explodes into fish chunks, and you are now blue. Your skin is blue, Bright,
Oh. I'm blue.
and not from
Huh.
fish chunks. Though those are. You might want to get that little loop of intestine off your nose.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Well, that's okay, so this is a thing that happens with magical experiments. I think there's not really any gnome that hasn't had something blow up in them. So it's just a thing that you kind of have to deal with when you experiment with magic, but it's kind of a bad sign, as I'm sure you can tell.
You turned blue.
Yeah.
Would you try that now that the fish chunks are off done?
What's that about fish chunks?
Could she try it with just the bone and not the whole fish?
Oh.
Maybe flesh was in way.
So I can try that. Sure, why not? Most of these effects aren't that bad. Let's try again.
Okay, and what would you like to do in your experiment?
Another minor illusion. This one is a little. It looks like a gnome, but it's even smaller and it's blue and it has a little white hat.
The skeleton explodes, and
This is a Modron.
yeah. Hang on. A crazy invention. Maybe you have like a rock gnome cousin somewhere. Some sort of a clockwork being just pops into existence as you are in the area of this fish skeleton exploding, and you have some fish bone in your hair. You might need to get out. And it's just sitting there, kind of. It opens its mouth and sparks shoot out as it's kind of walking in a circle.
Does it seem friendly?
It's walking in a circle, shooting sparks. It looks very gnomish. You, as a tinkerer, would certainly pick up on this.
Would I know what that is?
A toy of some kind. It's about the size of Bright, though, so it's kind of
Weird.
just walking in a circle. Opens its mouth every now and again. Sparks come out.
Does it seem friendly to you, Bright?
It seems kind of broken. I don't know. I mean, Gerbo had some rock gnome ancestry. I don't, as far as I know, but he did. And you know, there's always. I mean, this is just how rock gnomes are. I don't know where it came from, but I have the sense. So here's the thing: these crystals look like Norale's crystals, and Norale, when she cast magic, sometimes this sort of thing would happen, and
Right.
I think that that's probably why she was so important to them, because they wanted to figure out why it is that she could cast magic and actually get useful spells out of it instead of just, weird stuff happening. And I don't know what the issue is here. I have some ideas though. Actually, I have some ideas. So Matty, you remember a long time ago I cast Identify on Norale's crystal?
I remember you doing so, and
It had polymorph in it.
it was that she was under the effects of polymorph.
So what I want to do now is I want to identify the fish bones, and then I want to magically make a comparison and see if I can pick up on any particular differences between the two.
Okay.
I'm not going to use fish bones as the spell focus for that. I'm going to use my regular spellcasting orb because these fish bones obviously don't work properly.
Sure. You from the remaining sets of fish bones you have from Casimir's expert deboning.
I'm going to need another 10 minutes. 11 minutes. Sorry.
Poor Celine here just keeps having the... All right, stop, hold on. All right, now start again.
Well, it's the reason it's a ritual. I guess I might be practicing enough to be able to end up being able to shave off a few minutes. By the time this is done, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to end up casting in 3.
The bones glow with an enchantment aura.
Okay. That's all I get from an identify?
It just seems to be a flavor of magic. Just kind of raw magic stuff.
Okay, I'm starting to put things together. So are there any crystals like on the walls of the cave? Do they all have the transforming crystals, or are there any of these pure wild magic crystals on the walls of the cave?
These are the transformation ones.
So here's what I'm thinking. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that these are just auras. These crystals are just pure wild magic. And about Norlai, how she could control it most of the time. But we know that there's wild magic zones. And what I'm thinking is that these crystals are the stuff that the thing that fell in Fallfire is probably made out of this crystal. And little bits of it broke off and scattered into the land, and that's where the wild magic zones are. And then the flowers grow up. Maybe the magic has to be in a living creature in order to be used, because Norlai was alive and she could use it. And then the flowers grow in the wild magic zones, and that's what makes it. And then now we have these fish. So maybe the crystals have to be like processed through a living thing before they can.
So the bones wouldn't work then because no longer live?
Think so, yeah.
I mean for Noralize. Also the
Oh,
fish, but
no.
Noralize in particular.
No, we know that Noralai's bones work. I don't know something's different about them.
Well, yes, it did. I wasn't paying attention.
Because I already
if you-
tested Noralai's bones, and we know they work.
Why does
But if
hers
you-
work different?
What was that? I didn't hear.
For her?
Could that mean that she's still alive?
I mean, I don't see how.
I don't see
She's-
how either, but if that's what makes it work.
Celine, what do you think? Sorry.
Well, if I had to guess, then I would end up here saying that would end up implying that Norlai is alive, but then that would also end up here meaning that maybe it's more in a spiritual sense, maybe so long as the essence of a person exists. Is
So
we
you
have
to
a
have
body
a
part.
soul?
Yes. I am this close to end up asking Mordecai to pick up one of those stones just to end up seeing, because if you're right, then that would end up meaning that Mordecai would be unaffected. But if I'm right, that means Mordecai would be affected, which ends up helping in our estimations as to what exactly we're dealing with. Pick up a rock, Mordecai.
You are a vampiric mushroom, man. What's the worst that could happen?
I'm not
I
sure
forgot
if
that I
I'm
look like a
following this
mushroom.
up.
You do look like a mushroom. You look
That's
uncannily
weird,
like a
'cause I've had
myconid.
Cypress Hill in my head the entire.
So we want. So wait. Are we wanting to put these bones in me? Is that what we're thinking?
I don't think that is good for health.
I don't think so either, but they were in the fish. The crystals are in the fish. The crystal was in Norlai.
If I catch another fish that's alive and you try casting, maybe?
I don't have a fishbowl for it. I mean, I do have
Does
a
anyone
fishbowl
have
for it.
bucket?
I do. I have a jar. The jar is full of mushrooms and things.
Well, you can put that aside temporarily.
Okay. Does anybody have a blanket or something, or a little tarp?
Well, it's kind of dark in here, and I don't necessarily have the issue with sunlight right now. We can use my cloak.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna dump out the jar of mushrooms onto Mordecai's cloak. Matty, remember that I did in the night that I was living in my gnome hole, spend that night fussing over the remains of Herbert and these mushrooms, and we doing those experiments, and we never resolved it. But I just don't want it to get lost because I'm doing this thing now. So there's a hole in the universe where whatever's in this jar is dumped under the cloak.
Noted.
And so here, Casimir, I've got this jar. Maybe you can catch a fish into this little jar.
All right. I hate these fish, but I'll do it.
I have made a note on my cloak.
So, before we do that, I want to try this thing. I learned it from Noralai, and we might be able to catch the fish a lot easier this way.
Okay.
So what I do is I do this very fast because I don't want to give the fish any more time than necessary. I stick my hand into the pool and I cast shocking grasp. That's the one. And I discharge the shocking grasp into the water and try to stun the fish.
Okay. So Casimir's holding a jar, and you're going up to the water, and you're slipping your fingers in to attract him, and then shocking grasp.
I don't really want to attract them. I just need to do it so that I can discharge the shocking
Well,
grasp.
all right, you don't want to, but that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm not waiting. I'm not
Okay.
waiting for the fish to come up to me. I'm just zapping
Sure.
the fish in the water.
Okay. That is a dex save?
I don't know.
It's a touch attack roll.
Yeah, it's a touch attack.
Oh, all right. Okay, yeah. So you stick your little gnomey fingers into the water, and you twiddle them, and there's one of these things that are coming up quick. You let the spell go, and
It's a fun one.
Oh no. Oh no.
okay. The fish kind of explodes, and Casimir, you and Bright are both covered in fish guts.
That's normal.
I've been covered in fish guts before.
Yeah.
I'll prestidigitate fish guts away.
Sure, easy enough.
Clean you off too if you want, Casimir. I
Yeah,
hope you
sure.
don't mind a little bit of a magical scrubbing down. Okay.
Okay.
Knew that the whole session would be stuck in a fish pond.
A devious trap. I knew you could never escape.
Why did you do this, Matty?
You're learning stuff. It's not like you're not coming out of here with some information.
True.
Well, that one's no longer alive, so we can't do test. You need
It
live
was-
one.
It was only what I was hoping. I mean, when Noralai did this, it stunned and or killed all the fish in the whole stream for a little ways. I was hoping we could just clear out. Yeah, I was hoping we could just use it to clear out an area and then we could go through safely. Because even when we walk across the surface with water walk, the fish are still going to try to eat us. And I was hoping we could
Yes,
get past
but
them.
we need.
How
need
big
to get
across
live
is the
one.
pond? How big across
To
is it?
get from the stony the stony dip across. This is I'd say it's about 50 feet.
No, probably not gonna work. Alright.
Alright.
I got nothing.
Casimir, as you turn around to adjust something, your foot hits a piece of fish and it just suddenly ignites, and it smells like barbecue fish now.
Well, they probably taste very good, judging by smell.
Don't
What
eat it.
What? What?
Well, I'm not gonna eat that one. It's some crap. I stepped on it. It's.
Don't eat anything out of this place because it's all fey and we don't know if it's going to transform you into a fey. Like, Goes for
Fine,
anyone.
I will. You want? I will test it when we get out of here. Make a little, feed it to something. You guys worry a lot.
This is something we've encountered before, Casimir. You probably should trust us in this regard.
Bright, as you're kind of here, and you go over to try and wipe off Casimir. There's a couple sizzling, popping pieces of fish by your feet as well that are smoldering on the ground.
So, for some reason, I'm sure are catching fire. I don't know why they're on fire.
Did you
Okay.
set off a fire?
No, it was just electricity. It shouldn't be fire. I mean, I can do fire too, but that's not what that spell does.
I certainly cannot do fires.
This would be, if we're talking magic schools, this would be more of an evocation kind of an effect. But the last bones you studied were enchantment.
I guess I could. I don't want to do that yet. Still. So, for some reason, I don't understand. Really confused. Let me just try to cast a minor illusion. I'm gonna create a minor illusion it's just a little gnomish children's song.
Okay.
I'm just making the sound of it. And I want to see what happens.
Okay, it plays.
Huh.
A sweet gnomish children's song fills the cavern with delightful gnomish lyrics.
It's weird.
Do you want
So,
to try
I thought-
to catch live fish now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I may have a solution.
Good. I don't have one. I have one.
I'm just double checking if I can pull off both. I'm pretty sure.
Are we wanting to spend a lot of
Using water walking. Now here's a question, real quick, Matty.
Mm-hmm.
I can place a wall. How exactly would you define wall?
That
For instance,
the spell, it's going to be more in the spell, because the spell can talk about how the wall is built. If it has to be, congruent or angular or something along those lines.
well, I can end up doing a. I think the ringed ring wall 60. Damn. I'm just wondering if it is all possible, and I guess that not. Still can work it. I'm going to cast water walking. And then I'm going to cast Blade Barrier. And I'm going to specifically clip it down to the last 3 inches of water. So it is simply submerged.
Okay.
So there is a 5-foot wide stretch. We're not only in the water, but they ain't coming without getting minced.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You can sink the base. So this wall, this blade barrier, seems like it has to be like a traditional wall where it's, vertical, but you can certainly sink it. Like, you can place the bottom of it in. And, okay. You are, this is 100 feet long. You don't even have to leave the shore if you don't want to. If you want to extend a blade barrier from you on the rocky slope going into the water, like even like into one of the caves, So tell me again how you're positioning in this with the tools that you have.
Specifically positioning it at water. So the top of it is literally like maybe an inch below the water.
Okay, and where are you in this? Are you in? Well, not in, but are you on the water or are you on the rocks?
I'm on the rocks.
Okay. Man, Mordecai, she's cold as ice.
And when I end up using water walking, Jacob, would you go first? Of course, I'd be invited to this one. And Jacob will start walking across the water.
Okay.
Right on top of the blade barrier. With only inches between his feet and the whole barrier.
Oh, that's clever.
Oh, I get it. All right, you want the top of the wall to be... Okay,
To be
gotcha.
just below the water, yeah.
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah. Gotcha. I thought you were just dipping the bottom down in there to... Okay.
No.
Sure.
I suppose if that creates a path, yeah.
So we're not catching fish.
You're not catching fish.
Well, I had jar because I was going to catch live fish.
I wanted to catch live fish, but maybe you can still catch one before Celine and Jacob kill them all.
So what's gonna happen?
Oh, I know what I can do. Since after water walk, I can move away from blade barrier just to scoop one up and then come back to the blade barrier.
Okay.
40 D100s?
So the magical churning barrier of blades is sunk into the water. The fish, attracted by the churning water and by the blades, rush at it. There they are minced, and after coming into contact with it, the fish are going to explode in a variety of ways.
Oh no.
And so what I am gonna
Oh,
have to
no.
do here,
Well, I just killed the party.
But are we on water yet?
I don't think
We
we started
casted
moving
first.
yet.
No, it
we're
was-
back here.
I wasn't. I was still on the shore. I was working
Same.
with Casimir to catch live fish.
All of us were on the shore still, so
Except Jacob. Oh no.
Let's watch this later.
I don't Jacob wouldn't have moved yet. If this is at the time of casting,
Oh,
Yes.
it's
No,
when
he
the fish.
described everything was
Yeah.
going towards it.
See what happens? The wild search is released when the fish is
oh,
broken
yeah,
up.
yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
As soon as stuff started to go off, though,
See-
Mordecai would have drew Jacob back.
Yeah, I don't think there's that much time. See,
There's-
that's why my minor illusion didn't trigger a wild search, because it didn't hurt any fish.
that does seem to be correct. And
Uh,
now
it
we
does-
have
it
a
all makes
magical
sense.
effect churning fish up.
However, we do have 40 wild searches.
Yes.
So let's see what happens.
How many of those cost damage?
I don't
Really
know.
all that's relevant here.
But this is what I will
know at
do.
least one is fireball.